activated. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Trosian, and this is RamView, the May 6, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right. Couldn't come on yesterday. We're on today. I'll give you an update on me. It's not that big of a deal. I'm good. Going under the knife in a few weeks. So it's all good there. So let's just talk some Ram football. More information keeps coming out about Matthew Stafford's contract. 84 rocks. It seems like almost all of it's guaranteed. All dance, right? I'm good with it. I'm all good. I thought Colin Cowherd made an interesting point today as I was waiting around for something to happen, that the Rams, he said, should use next year's draft to extend this current run and delay the transition from Stafford. And I think there's a lot of intelligence there. I think there's some there, but it's something interesting to talk about. It's a great point. If Stafford maintains his level of play, then you might not be beholden to move heaven and earth to get Arch Manning, so to speak. He's the classic guy that everyone's talking about. Cowherd used Brady as the example. Yeah, if Stafford's playing at this level for another 2 years, then why not draft more weapons, more depth to put around him for the 26 and maybe 27 season if he wants to come back for that. But I think the only thing that, well, there's a lot of things that Cowherd misses, but the one thing Cowherd is not missing is not mentioning is that Brady didn't spend 12 years in the Detroit organization getting his butt kicked. I got to believe every year at this point, Stafford and his wife Kelly have a conversation about how much longer do I want to play? How much more punishment does my body want to take? And I get the feeling that this dude will retire after 2 years. Now, it would be great if he has that extended career into his 40s, plays another 3-4 years, and this window stays open, because Stafford at this level keeps the Rams window open, right? Even in 2022, which was an offshoot, which Steeler fan Rob salivates over because – we never had a losing season. Of course, they haven't been back to a Super Bowl in 15, 16 years. But that was the offensive line chainsaw massacre of 2022, an unprecedented event in the post-draft and the post-merger era that happened to the Rams offensive line that year. But even then, you knew as long as Stafford is upright and throwing, Rams are always a contender, always, and you could just keep adding pieces around him. My only qualifier there is 12 years in Detroit, right? 12 years in Detroit getting knocked around. And and then that conversation digressed to Jason McIntyre, saying that people thought Matthew Stafford was a bust because he didn't win a playoff game. And when you watch Jason McIntyre sometimes he's fine. But then you look at it and you say, how do these people get their jobs? I'll say this. I might not be the biggest Cowherd fan, but he's probably got the most talent of anybody on the air, and you can tell he knows his stuff. But you look at someone like McIntyre and you wonder, how did somebody get their job, right? He doesn't look like Joy Taylor, so how did he get his job? I just can't understand how, again, it's our culture to be so ignorant of something that is recent history. Nobody on this planet thought Matthew Stafford was a bust. He was just stuck in the grapes of wrath version of the NFL called Detroit, right? Where it was just trucking along down that endless highway of losses because the organization was so inept. So if the team comes out with a Super Bowl and Stafford doesn't look anything like Peyton Manning did in winning his last Super Bowl, Rams run it back, maybe extend him another year. That's great. But if you have a generational quarterback sitting out there, I think you do need to draft him, because I think I think Brady's the outlier, right? Brady is the outlier, but it is an interesting conversation to have. And I think we're going to have a better idea. Rams should be an NFC championship game team this year. That's the baseline. They should be a Super Bowl team, but the baseline is they got to go to the NFC championship. And if they lose to the Eagles, everyone's going to say Eagles are defending champs. Rams got where they should have been. That's where they should have been last year. No one's going to raise a point. But if the Rams somehow struggle, backdoor into the playoffs, Stafford's elbow is sore, neck injury a little bit, neck is a little stiff, then it reassesses that you need to look at that generational quarterback or a first-round quarterback, because you want to get someone that's top flight, right? If you don't have a quarterback, you're the Cardinals, right? So anyway, throwing that stuff out there. Guys, thanks for clicking on. Manny Correa, just working and listening. Thank you. Michael Negretti, the delay of game. Gilbert Gonzalez, love your shirt, Joe. Thank you very much. I sometimes question coming on without Ram paraphernalia. When I'm just wearing one of my Hawaiian shirts, maybe you guys don't think I'm working, but I feel like I need to. I put this on generally when I come here. Let's see. Tim Burns, fans sue for emotional damage over Sanders slide $100 million. So dumb. That's not true. Is that true, Mr. Burns? Manny Correa says hi to Tim. Tim Burns, Stafford was offered 100 rocks by the Giants and Raiders, so Stafford left 20 mil on the table. Pete Carroll tried to snatch our quarterback. Wisely so, right? Wisely so. And again, difference between Matthew Stafford and Myles Garrett, right? Right? Now, Stafford's got more money put away than Myles Garrett, but Myles Garrett gets hit on every play, and he chose to stay in Cleveland, right? It's like, no, man. I mean, if you want a ring, that's one thing. If you want dough, that's another. And it's pretty obvious Stafford wants a ring. There we go. Let's see here. Gilbert Gonzalez, too bad instead of using all the draft for Goff, we did not go for Matthew Stafford from the get-go. For sure, at least one more Super Bowl. I don't know if Detroit was ready to move off of him in 2016 because, remember, he was a bust. Statements, right? Statements. This is why you guys never have to defer to anybody. Anybody on the NFL Network, Ian Rappaport, Albert Breer, Diana Rossini, Colin Coward, Joe T. I'm not lumping myself in with them, but what I'm saying is you don't have to defer to anybody, because when you got people out there making statements like that, they are not better than you, right? They're not better than you. Tim Burns, do you think Britton Covey will produce for us? We will talk about Britton Covey here in a second, and we'll talk about him right now. He's 28, 5'8", 173. He's a career punt returner, led the league in punt returns, I think, in 23. Last year, he only returned 6 punts, 68 in his career, has 11 career receptions. Unless something really wild happens, or there's something about his versatility because of what he played different positions, he doesn't make the team. To me, he feels like a camp body and some insurance in case Xavier Smith gets hurt or regresses, or there's something about Xavier Smith the Rams don't like. Right. That's the only thing is he's got these other legs out there to do returning, because you got to figure Xavier Smith was Xavier Smith kickoffs, or was he just punts? I think he was just punts, right? Yeah, he was. And so I don't see it. I'd be really disappointed. You invest what, 3 years, 2 years of a practice squad, or 1 year practice squad another year in Xavier Smith. You get him some playing time. He looks okay. He looks pretty good last year. And then you're going to dump him for a journeyman player like Britton Covey. That would be disappointing. I mean, the Rams would do it for a reason, but I think also no one's talking about Britton Covey except that it's kind of desperate dead period material time, right? That's my feeling on it. Just a depth piece in case something happens, because maybe none of these other guys, he's got NFL experience while some of the players they signed as UDFAs don't, right? Looking at the Rams roster, everybody that's on the roster right now, 7 draft picks? Was it 7 draft picks? 7 draft picks, 17 undrafted free agents signed. who was on the roster last. So the Rams are pushing 90 on their roster. Right now, they have 8 players on the roster that are 30 and above. This is a great sign. 2 of them are in the quarterback room, Stafford and Jimmy G. On the offensive side, you got Havenstein and Devontae Adams and Tyler Higbee. Higbee, the Rams are already in motion in that corner, in that tight end room, that they're going to have some adjustments down the road. They're ready for adjustments. Devontae Adams, the wide receiver room is full right now. You want him to be great, but okay, right? If it's a one-year thing, team's not hurt. Havenstein's the critical dude. Havenstein is the critical dude who I think just turned 32 or 33. He's the critical one. And I think it's 33. He's the one that, man, right now, his age worries me a little bit. You notice him getting dinged up a little bit each of the last 2 years. Coleman Shelton turns 30 in July. And then on the defensive side, this is really encouraging. Darius Williams is 32. Akila Weatherspoon is 30. And Troy Reeder is 30. That's it. Troy Reeder, we know, might not even be on the team, maybe as a coach. He's the comfort food for the Chris Shula and the defense. But Darius Williams, Akila Weatherspoon, last year of their contracts. The only other player on the cusp there is Poona Ford, turns 30 in November. But other than that, look at that. No age to significant players on that defensive front. Poona Ford turns 30 mid-season in November. Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, all those guys. What you're looking at there's no age there. And then with the edge players, right? Jared Verse, Byron Young, no age here at all. And so this is really exciting. This is a young team that's ready to go get it. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about that myself when I think about it. Let's see here. Tim Burns, is Britton a Tony Horn? We need special teams help. I don't think he's Tony Horn, man. I kind of like Tony Horn. Tony Horn got on the field. I don't know what was going on with Britton Covey last year. He only returned 6 punts, and that's his game. Was he hurt? I haven't done that investigation and such. So, and the Eagles weren't bringing him back. I think he's a camp body who's getting a little more run here because he was signed on May 5th, right? He was signed on May 5th. And everyone is kind of just waiting for some more news to break, and there's nothing much to talk about. And so we put out Britton Covey signed with the Rams. Hey, he could make the team, but think about that. That would probably be at the expense of Xavier Smith, right? You're not going to move off of any of your serious guys here. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I put it this way. I doubt it. That's how I think of it. I doubt it. All right, I'm Joe Terosian, sports writer for 21 years. Still am contributing to Mid-Valley Sports, along with Tim Burns there, who's writing A's and Rams columns for us. Looking for one on Torrey Holt there, Mr. Burns, very soon. Also, we are on Spotify. From the RamCave is the audio version of this broadcast, and it's posted on Spotify. We're just trying to make traction there. We are a blip in the Pacific Ocean, right? Imagine a single drop of rain dropping in the Pacific Ocean. That's us on Spotify. We just got no base. We just can't find any traction there. So we appreciate your help. If you can click on, like, subscribe, all that stuff that you need to do. I also write books. My books are on Amazon. They keep me employed in my day job. You just type in Joe Terosian, buy one of my books, especially Game Day in the RamCave. You won't be disappointed. Fictional NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Packers. Check that one out. Also, our sponsors, Kistler Law especially, they're the ones that keep me employed in my day job, especially as they are a great sponsor, great partner, and just great help. I can tell you that firsthand. And my day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene. You can find us right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual across social media. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask me. All right. So here we go. Around the NFL and other places, we were dealing with Steeler fan Rob the last couple of days. Mr. Burns and myself were dealing with Steeler fan Rob. And the question came up about comp picks. And I don't mean to be pedantic or talk down. I'm not trying to high road anybody like you guys don't know. But I'm just going to try to boil it down what it means about comp picks because the Rams only have one comp pick next year. So If a Ram player plays out his contract and becomes a free agent and then signs with another team, the Rams would receive a compensatory pick. If it's a big-time player, which big-time players seldom leave the Rams, it can be as high as a third-round compensatory. But usually what you see is the Rams players playing out their rookie deals, like Samson Ebukam, Ogbo Okoronkwo, Taylor Rapp, and you usually get a sixth-rounder in compensation for those guys. No more than 4 compensatory picks you can get, right? If you sign a frontline guy, you lose a compensatory pick. In the case of Devontae Adams, he was put in the street by the Jets. So the Rams picked him up as a free agent, and so he was no cost. He was no cost to the Rams, right? You don't lose a compensatory pick. But by the signing of Poona Ford and Coleman Shelton, who were both starters last year, the Rams lose 2 compensatory picks. They would have gotten compensatory picks for Michael Hoyt, Bobby Brown, and Demarcus Robinson. But because they signed Ford and Coleman Shelton, they only have 1 coming in. So that was one of the conversations. Like, the Steelers don't lose a compensatory pick if and when they sign Aaron Rodgers. They don't lose him because he was cut loose by the Jets, right? And then I think it's up until, was it draft or is it after June 1st? If you sign anybody who's a free agent, you don't lose a compensatory pick. So there you go. But you also get compensatory picks according to the NFL rules, like I don't know if it's considered the Rooney Rule, but the minority hiring program stuff the league does. The Rams have scored twice on this. They got 2 third-round compensatory picks for Brad Holmes, becoming the GM in Detroit. And the Rams got 2 third-round picks for Raheem Morris going to Atlanta as HC. In fact, one of those third-round picks, the second one of those this year, the Rams gave back to Atlanta in the whole draft day deal. And so, because they were minorities. If, say, Aubrey Pleasant, who's got the title of assistant head coach, gets an HC job, the Rams would get 2 compensatory picks from the NFL for him that would be third-rounders. If Nicole Blake, who's technically the head of the scouting and research department or whatever, I doubt very much if she's the one making the call. I think she probably runs the office, coordinates players and all that kind of stuff, coordinates the scouts. But if she were to go on and become a GM somewhere, and that's possible, right? That's possible. The Rams would definitely get 2 third-rounders for her. Ray Farmer is another front office personnel guy for the Rams. He interviewed for the Jets GM job, and we were kind of hoping he'd get it because as an African-American, the Rams would get 2 third-round picks if he became the HC or the GM somewhere. That's how the system's set up. Like all initiatives and quota systems in place, they are abused, or at least kind of shocking a little bit. It appeared nobody outside of Frisco and the NFL office knew that Dolphins HC Mike McDaniels was biracial. And so when he left the 49ers and went to Miami, Fog City got a pair of third-round picks, which, just makes you mad because it's the 49ers. In fact, I remember even Shannon Sharp saying, I didn't know the dude was black, right? But that's how they termed it. And the 49ers got 2 third-round picks, but Fog City used those third-round picks pretty poorly. In 2022, they used it on wide receiver Danny Gray. He caught 1 pass in 13 games in the NFL. And in 2023, they used the third-round pick, which was, I think, 105 or 101 overall. And on Cameron Lantu, tight end in 2023, even bigger whiff. He never even appeared in a game for the 49ers. So 49ers not good at drafting. If you remember, they also used a 2023 third-round pick, number 99 overall, for Jake Moody. Thank you, John Lynch. And this is why the Rams are in the position they are in the NFC West. Okay, keeping it moving here. Ravens put Justin Tucker in the street, which you get it with all the stuff coming at him in terms of the Deshaun Watson repeat here. My only thing is, if Justin Tucker had all come out on Justin Tucker in 2018 or 2019 or 2020, when he was clearly one of the best kickers in NFL history. He still is, but he was in his prime. Would the Ravens have put him in the street, or would they say, hey, we're going to stand by Justin, right? Didn't have a great year last year. They put him in the street. So he will not be playing likely in the NFL this year unless there's some massive conspiracy. I think he's going to be too toxic to be signed. You never know, right? You never know. Okay, Ravens signed Joe Noteboom, so no chance for him coming back as a reunion. And the Chiefs released Robert Rochelle. We got that out of the way.
They come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go.
There was a moment there in 2021 where Joe Noteboom was contributing, and even Robert Rochelle was contributing. Noteboom's found a home at the age of 29 with the Ravens. He's probably one of those guys that just needs a how do you say it? I think he just needs that that change of scenery, right? He comes to the Rams fresh out of college in 2018. It's like going back home, right? It's very comfortable here. And sometimes you have to kick the bird out of the nest to get them to grow. And maybe Joe Noteboom revives his career there. Bad look for Robert Rochelle. Chiefs had just signed him a few weeks ago, actually. And now with all their UDFA signings and everything, he's out in the street. It's got to be a rough place. I'm sure he's contemplating future career. 49ers deal is still pending with Brock Purdy. And so I'm looking forward to that deal. I'm looking forward to them giving him a ton of money, and just think that they gave a ton of money to George Kittle, who's 32. It's a 4-year contract, guaranteed wise. It makes it a 2-year contract. And there's also talk about they've got to extend Fred Warner, and I'm loving it. Extend him. Do it, please. In fact, give Bosa another extension too. 49ers, historic one, bad drafters, as we just noted, but they always spend their money in the wrong places. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy is bad money, but even Purdy should recognize what he's asking for. Again, early in his career, why not be team friendly and let them get pieces in and around you? Because he signs a massive contract, they extend these guys we're talking about. Remember, they're still on the hook for Brandon Ayuk, right? So, yeah, please do. 49ers, man, they just make bad choices and stuff. And besides, they can't hold on to a lead in the fourth quarter. Anyway, go Niners. And then finally, before we break this off into another section here, Mikal Bridges, New York Knicks, right? Go Knicks. They stole one in the Garden last night. I was so thrilled about that. And Mikal Bridges hit that 3 in the corner, and then he stole the ball on the inbounds. I think it was from Jaylen Brown, and he kind of made an allusion to Ahkello Witherspoon, and I'm sure he was probably talking about the pick Witherspoon had against the Cardinals. And Bridges comes out and says he's a Rams fan. So not only is he from Villanova, which I love all Villanova players, they make the NBA watchable, and then he's a Rams fan. Score, right? And I kind of like the Knicks. I've always kind of been a Knicks fan since the days of Bernard King. So that is pretty cool to hear Mikal Bridges is a Rams fan. All right, cool. Okay, any questions coming in? I don't think we got any questions there. All right, let's just keep rolling. We're at the 24-minute mark. Given a hard time, been going back and forth. Steeler fan Rob has been very upset, and I'm going to go easy on Steeler fan Rob tonight because I need to stay at his house in Missouri on my cross-country trip this August. So, but he got me thinking about matchups with quarterbacks, and I think we've talked about this before, but we overlooked that Jimmy G is with the Rams, starting NFL quarterback, Super Bowl quarterback, couple of missed connections downfield, which I'll put on him from winning a Super Bowl. But that's our backup quarterback. Rams brought him back. That's serious business. Who's your backup quarterback? Can your backup quarterback fill in for you for 3 weeks in a row and keep your team afloat and maybe play one more game, right? 17-game season, players are going to go down. So I started thinking about the Rams quarterback room against the other quarterback rooms. I'm not really going to look at third stringers, but let's just look at backups here. Cardinals, Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett. Brissett's a competent backup. He's not Jimmy G, and we know what Kyler Murray is. So Rams win that one. In fact, I'm looking at the teams the Rams are playing this year. So it's about what, 13 teams. So that's, or 14 teams. So that's what I'm looking at here. And then you got the 49ers, Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, Matthew Stafford and Jimmy G. In fact, remember Mac Jones a few years ago? There was those crazy rumors that Mac Jones was going to be taken in the draft. I think there was talk about him going in the Trey Lance spot. I think they wish they would have, maybe then. I don't think Mac Jones is bad. I don't think Mac Jones has been in the right situation. Seahawks, Sam Darnold and Drew Lock. Guys that can sling it, Jimmy G, Matthew Stafford. So that's 3 for the Rams. Eagles. Now, this one gets a little interesting. I'm listing 4 quarterbacks here. We know Jalen Hurts is the starter. You got former Stanford quarterback Tanner McKee, former Syracuse quarterback just drafted Kyle McCord, and former Cleveland Brown UCLA alum DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson. Jimmy G's better than McKee, McCord, and DTR. And then Matthew Stafford's better than Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback for what he has around him. I would not trust Jalen Hurts with my offense if I was the Rams. He's not a big-time thrower. He can make plays, but he's not a big-time thrower. Good leader, always in shape, all those things. Don't care if he doesn't see the president or not. That stuff doesn't make any difference. But the idea is he had a nice run against the Rams for a touchdown. But see how long he holds on to the ball? He's got some limitations in the passing game. And he's also got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, right? And Saquon in the backfield and a great offensive line. But I'm going to go Rams over the Eagles in the quarterback room. Lions, Jared Goff and Hendon Hooker. Yeah, I'm going with the Rams on this one. Saints, Derek Carr's hurt. Tyler Show was just drafted. Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener. Yeah, Saints don't have a quarterback room. Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, who I saw in one quarterback ratings. They have Baker Mayfield listed above Matthew Stafford. I like Baker Mayfield. I do. I wanted the Rams to keep him around because we didn't know how long Stafford was going to play. But Baker Mayfield's not Matthew Stafford. Kyle Trask, I don't even know what Kyle Trask is because I haven't seen him play. C.J. Stroud and Davis Mills for the Texans. I'm still going Matthew Stafford. And Davis Mills is not a bad backup. I think he's got talent. In fact, when we thought after the 2022 season, when we didn't know what the condition was with Stafford, I kind of kept doing mock drafts where the Rams traded for Davis Mills. I like Davis Mills. I think he's outlasted Case Keenum, and I think he's a piece that somebody will trade for eventually. But I like the Rams room better. Colts don't have a quarterback room. Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, Leonard Riley. Okay, Rams are good there. Panthers, Bryce Young, Andy Dalton. Rams. Falcons, Michael Penix, presently Kirk Cousins, and then Easton Stick. Easton couldn't stick with the Chargers. Cousins is about to be going out the door there, maybe in Atlanta, and then you got Penix. I think I'm going with the Rams. Titans, Cam Ward, Will Levis. Going with the Rams. And then finally, the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Cooper Rush. Now, this one will be controversial, probably on any other site, is I think Lamar Jackson has limitations. I think it keeps showing up. And I don't think Lamar Jackson makes excuses, but I think there's a section of the KBM that always feels it's incumbent upon them to defend Lamar Jackson, almost like Lamar Jackson comes up short. It's like the LeBron James crowd. All of a sudden, they're activated. The button is pushed. Okay, let's get all the defenders out there saying he's the greatest ever. I like Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson works hard. Lamar Jackson's a great leader. Lamar Jackson does whatever it takes, but Lamar Jackson, I'm sorry, just has limitations, right? You match me up with Matthew Stafford, right? I'm a good dude. I love my family too, right? I'll bang with him. I can name all the presidents in the world. Can he name all the presidents in the world? I mentioned there's things I can do that Matthew Stafford can't. But you know what I can't do? Never in my life, even when I could throw a Voigt 60 yards before I blew up my shoulder, I could never throw the ball like Matthew Stafford, right? You just can't do it. Lamar Jackson's great. Lamar Jackson's faster than Matthew Stafford. Lamar Jackson's probably physically stronger than Matthew Stafford. Lamar Jackson's amazing. You just can't throw the ball like Matthew Stafford. That's it. I'm not slamming Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson and Cooper Rush. I think I'm going Jimmy G there. Look at the advantage the Rams have in that quarterback room. the days of going in there with, Bryce Perkins and John Wolford and Brock Bortles and what was it, one of the Brandon Allens or Kyle Allens? I think it was Brandon Allen. I mean, think about that. I mean, the Rams have come. That means they're serious to me. That means they're finally serious. And I give credit to Jimmy G because there is a possibility. You never know. It could happen. He could go down and he could end up playing. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, Dave DeBuscher, my all-time favorite Nick. I thought, Steve, you would come after me on that one. I only saw DeBuscher, Lucas, and those guys play in the 72-73. I saw brief moments of the 72-73 finals and stuff. And DeBuscher and Lucas were great. I mean, they were just – I couldn't understand why they were beating the Lakers because how could the Lakers lose? Because I knew the names, Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain and such. But, okay, good call. Bernard King, man. Bernard King. I probably after Magic Johnson in the 80s there was that run that Bernard King had for a few years there in New York that, man, I just loved watching Bernard King. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, NFL schedule rumors has Lions at Eagles in opener and Rams at Ravens in week 6. Hey, that's good. Ravens are going to be Super Bowl champions in week 6. I get it. That's the way it always works. If the Ravens September, October, we've heard it for the last 5 years. Oh, this team is so great. They're going to the Super Bowl this year, And then, of course, reality comes in December and January. And so, no, that's good. That's fine. Maybe the Rams will be coming out of their Rams are going to start 1-3, 1-2, 2-4, and the sky's going to be falling again, right? Until we see something different. That's what we're going to think. And otherwise, that'll be a good matchup. If it's in LA, so that's good too. All right, so yeah, that's interesting. We got what, 8 days? May 14th. We got 8 days. That's going to be a really interesting news when it breaks. Tim Burns, favorite Nick, Anthony Mason, all those bad dudes, Nason, Starks, LJ. I mean, those guys were bad dudes, right? I ain't arguing you that at all. I was rooting for them against Houston. I really was. Although I have to say I was kind of rooting for Reggie Miller when they had those games because I did like Reggie Miller. USA Expert, this could be the year that Stafford has the screen pass as a major weapon again. I think all things are on the table this year. I really do. I'm going to take McVay at his word. He wants to make the offense more dynamic. And I just think this is an exciting season coming up, right? And if you win and if you lose and everyone's out there, I think we can live with it. I just don't want to go through. It's like going to see the same movie 3 years in a row. I just don't want to see 5 guys go down in the first 2 weeks, right? Can we just have a new movie here, right? It's like watching Close Encounters. There's Close Encounters that was originally released, Close Encounters, the director's cut, Close Encounters, the special edition. It's like that's all the same movie. I just, it's like I've seen the movie before. I need to see something else. I need to see Independence Day. Anyway, Tim Burns, Steeler fan Rob thinks TJ Watt will retire as Steeler. I say he bolts and soon. Man, you guys are just lifting my material off the board here. Okay, so let's look at that real quick. Where are we at here? I just uploaded this. Talking about free agents in 2026, all right? TJ Watt is a free agent in 2026. He has not been extended yet. He's already making 30 rocks, and we're seeing edge guys, we're seeing premier defensive players pushing that 40 barrier, right? That's where people want their dough. He's 30 going on 31, has not won a playoff game. That's not his fault. And what I'm just amazed is Cam Hayward. Yeah, I always get Cam Jordan, Cam Hayward. It's Cam Hayward. I can't believe Mike Tomlin is going to go into that room with those veterans, Minka Fitzpatrick as well, and say, hey, guess what, guys? We're going to war with Mason Rudolph or Will Howard. Yeah, we said this on draft night. Just by not drafting a quarterback early, they gave Aaron Rodgers all the power. When Aaron Rodgers is done with whatever he's doing on the West Coast, whether it's the Monterey Pop Festival, whether it's Cal Jam 5, I don't know what he's doing, right? When he's done doing what he wants to do, then maybe he'll show up. And you know what? Steelers are waiting for him. You really think that's going to vibe real well? You already got 2 head cases in Metcalf and George Pickens. And I'm thinking, I'm 30 years old, TJ Watt. I'm a free agent next year. Why do I want to re-sign with this? Cam Hayward's getting ready to retire. Why am I setting myself up for this, right? So free agents going into next year, top free agents in the NFL, TJ Watt, Kansas City guard Trey Smith played well, Terry McLaurin, wide receiver with the Texans, Trey Hendrickson, Mike Evans for Tampa Bay, Colton Miller, left tackle in Las Vegas. Khalil Mack will be a free agent again. Deebo Samuel, I thought he got extended. Has he not been extended yet? Travis Kelce will be. Taylor Morton for for Carolina, and Braden Smith in Indiana. Both those guys are right tackles, working in their 8th and 9th year. Joe Thuney, and at the bottom of the list there, number 15, Cortland Sutton. I like Cortland Sutton. You know, if there's something bad that happens to Devontae Adams and it doesn't work out, I do like Cortland Sutton. I've had my eye on him for a long time. Rams free agents are Kyron Williams, as of now, Rob Havenstein, Quentin Lake, Tutu Atwell, Tyler Higbee, long snapper Alex Ward, and then you get into Kobe Durant, Akilla Witherspoon, Darian Kendrick, Cam Curl, Jimmy G, and then the usual suspects if they survive this offseason: Sean Jolly, Tanner Ingle, Kier Thomas, Ronnie Rivers, Laurel Murchison, and AJ Arcuri. You look at that and it's like, man, why would you want to stick around for that? I understand he's a Steeler for life and all that kind of stuff, but would you want to stay if your head coach comes into the room and says, hey, man, we're running it back with Mason. We're running it with Will. I'd be suspicious if they say we're running it with Aaron Rodgers, because I don't know. This guy's not here. He's not interested. It's like it's all his terms. That's why they needed to draft a quarterback, right? They needed to do it. Bottom line is, this was the argument we got into today, was you needed to keep either Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, especially if you had already, through your scouting, determined that there wasn't a quarterback in this draft that was worth taking in the first round. Then you needed hanging on to Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. And Omar Khan let them both go out the door, right? I would have been talking to them right away. You know, how did you not know at the end of the season, 3 months before the draft, that none of these quarterbacks were first round worthy in your estimation? That means you sign those guys, you extend them, you do whatever it takes. And they didn't. And now they're trying to sell Mason Rudolph. Sorry. And now you're beholden to whatever darkness retreat or trip to Egypt that Aaron Rodgers has. So that's where it got a little iffy there. The only adjustment in my AFC top 10, I kept the Steelers in my top 10. I just dropped them to 10th and moved the Dolphins up to number 9. All right, let's see. Some questions came in. Let's see here. Steve Ramirez. DeMarco Farr said this week, McVay might go heavy on Devontae early and limit Puka, then go big on Puka post-Thanksgiving because of the way Puka punishes guys. I'd be all for that. And do we believe that Devontae Adams is a little more closer to his prime than Cooper Kupp is? Absolutely. I don't think Stafford, I'm going to give Stafford the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he just zeroes in on one guy. I think Stafford throws the ball to whoever's open, right? And if Devontae Adams can get open, great. Yeah, I would be encouraging Puka to watch a lot of film of Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. Not necessarily the 99 through 2001 versions of those guys, but as the next few years played out, if you saw them on their catches, they would get down before they absorbed hits. I don't know if you guys remember that, but they were classic. They said, hey, I'm going down anyway. I'm going to go down before I absorb the hit. And I kind of hope Puka would do that because he does take a lot of punishment. That's a good call there, Steve. Gilbert Gonzalez, Cal Jam 2 was the bomb back in the day, Joe, at the Ontario Speedway. My brother had a roommate to Cal Jam 2. And all I heard, I was 8th grade. I didn't go. All I heard was the worst about Cal Jam 2, that the toilets and everything were so messed up. The guy and a bunch of friends, they brought their girlfriends, and they're camped out there, and there's no toilet to use, that they literally, the girl had to pee. They all stood around her with a blanket so she could pee in the field there or wherever they were. But yeah, I don't know why Cal Jam 2 popped into my head, but it did. Gilbert Gonzalez. Who was there at Cal Jam 2? I'm assuming Frampton, right? As long as it wasn't disco people. I don't think it was disco people. Joe Walsh, Chris Childers. How will our new wide receiver going to work? I said at the top there, Chris. I think he's a camp body. I think he's got a little more run in the press because there's nothing else going on. This guy caught 7 passes last year. He's 5'8", 173 pounds. We already got one of those guys. It's Tutu Atwell. He does return punts, but he only returned like 6 punts last year. Led the league in punt returns in 23, and he's 28 years old. I know he's versatile, they say. You never know with McSnead, but where does he fit? Let me just throw it out there, guys. Where do you see Britton Covey fitting in the wide receiver room? A wide receiver room that we know includes Puka, Devontae Adams, Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell. All right, boom, right there. Then you got Xavier Smith. He'll be the 5th receiver. And then you've got Kanata Mumpfield. You got Quintet, who was drafted 7th, Quintez Cephas and Drake Stoops, who were on the practice squad last year. And then they signed Mario Williams, True Edwards, and Brennan Presley. And all those guys, I saw Mario Williams play, and I've heard positives about True Edwards and Brennan Presley. I think Covey's insurance at camp for Xavier Smith. Maybe Xavier Smith doesn't get too complacent. I don't know, in case he's injured, keeps his legs fresh. I don't see a room for this guy, but you never know. At least he's an NFL punt returner. And if something were to happen to Smith, we'd be back asking Landon Akers or JJ Koski to return punts again, and so I'm not thinking much of him right now. I guess we'll see. USA Expat, the season I want to see is the defensive rush teeing off because we built up a huge lead. Oh yeah, this season I want to see. Yeah, I believe you. I do too. I want to see the defense kind of unleashed. I don't want to see I want to see a little more press coverage. I want to see aggressiveness. I want to see, even more blitzing. I want to see more, it's become very de rigueur to keep talking about the cheetah package. Everybody's talking the cheetah package. I think someone said it and everyone's picked up on it in the Rams media. And I'm not slamming them for it, but this is the first time I mentioned the cheetah package, where it's basically no linebackers and it's all coverage and blitz. What is it? 6 guys back, 5 guys going forward, or is it 5 guys back, 6 guys going forward? And I'm excited about that because I think, the Rams had to be careful last year. They had to be really cautious because the offense, let's face it, the offense, man, for most of the season just looked horrible. I'm not going to say horrible, but there was no big plays, nothing, right? And so, yeah, I'm excited this year. Tribe, Joe, since we got Puna Ford and drafted Henderson, do you think he will switch to a 4-3? No, I think the Rams or Hamilton. I think you mean Hamilton. I think they like the 3-4. I think they like the flexibility of it. There's just so many different things you can do in terms of looks and confusion for opposing defenses. I think they're going to stick to the 34. I'd be really surprised. Everything we've seen since Brandon Staley came in after Wade Phillips has been this version of the Fangio, too high, the shell. Everyone's doing it now, of course, and we just see little tweaks here and there from Staley to Raheem Morris to Chris Shula. Hey, does everyone remember last year after the Cardinal game? McVay hired his friend. It's like the KBM sometimes, right? After some of those young guys got some snaps under their belt, that defense really picked it up, and now everyone's in love with Shula, right? So there we go. Gilbert Gonzalez, remember Hart and Santa Ana? Everyone else was a blur. Okay, Hart was there. All right, Hart was there. I did not know that. Tim Burns, who backs up Puna? Well, I think it's a rotation game there on the defensive interior. You're running Braden Fisk, Puna Ford, Tyler Davis, Kobe Turner, and then Ty Hamilton, who's the 5th round pick. And then after that, you still have DeJuan Johnson, Mr. Irrelevant from a few years ago. Laurel Murchison, who didn't play much last year at all. I think he had a couple of snaps. And then you've got the free agent guys, Jack Heflin, who was signed to the practice squad, the UDFAs, DeJohn Terry and Bill Norton. And then the guy from England, David Olajega, he's the European import that allows the Rams to keep 17 players on their practice squad instead of 16. He's kind of the Max. Was it Max Percy? What was the guy's name? Max from Italy that was always on the practice squad for a few years there. So that's a rotation of Fisk, Ford, Davis, 3, Turner, 4, Hamilton, 5. That's about 5 guys. 6 if you count Johnson or Murchison. So I got Rams defensive interior usually keeping about 6 players as a note right here. That's what I see there. Gilbert Gonzalez, want more 12 personnel, a little more speed in the backfield. Tutu living up to his contract, Puka going off, Matthew staying healthy, and D taking 2 steps forward. Okay, I will. I'll take all of that. My thing about that is, I remember it was a couple of years ago. When we were watching all those bunch plays, it was like the Rams were lining up tight in the box, and but they were throwing out of it. And I'm admitting, I'm thinking, why don't I just spread it out? And then I don't know who broke it down. Maybe it was Greg Cosell or somebody broke it down, talking about how in that 12 personnel or even bunching those receivers close to the line is that McVay liked it because it gave his receivers more room to operate and put more pressure on the corners and defensive backs, because now they didn't have the sideline for help, right? Because you're inside closer to the hash. Now that might, if you guys coached, that might be football 101. I was a sports writer. I've written 1,000 game stories, right? I've seen it all, and stuff. I just didn't know that. And so I am looking forward to more. There was a lot of 12 personnel last year. I'm looking forward to all of that, to seeing what they could do. And I think Ferguson plays a part in that. Terrence Ferguson. That's a good look there to talk about there, Gilbert Gonzalez. All right, let's see what else we got here. We're at the 47-minute mark. Let's do this.
It was a stone group, my man.
Okay, let's see. This date in Rams history. That's where I wanted to go. You got to scroll down here. This date in Rams history. Phil Olsen signs as a free agent with the Broncos. And because, talk about compensation, this is in May 6, 1975. Phil Olsen, Merlin Olsen's brother. The Rams got a 3rd and a 6th round pick and the rights to wide receiver Otto Stowe, who was kind of shining for the Cowboys in the early 73 season before going down with an injury and opening the door for who became future Hall of Famer Drew Pearson. But Olsen had been drafted 4th overall by the Patriots in 1970. There was some issues with his contract. He got traded to the Rams in January of 72, cost him a 1st round pick and also a 3rd in 72 with some cash when he signed with the Rams. There is some question about the 3rd rounder. This was interesting. The third rounder in 76 was, no, I'm not going to say that. I think I got that butchered. I'll have to go back to that. But there's a 3rd rounder involved in these deals here that when he left for the Broncos, that was it. When he left for the Broncos, the Rams got a 3rd rounder, and that was in 76. And there was some question about it. Did the Rams move that pick and get another 3rd rounder? But the only 3rd rounder the Rams took in 1976 was some guy named Jackie Slater. And so Phil Olsen might have led to the Rams getting Hall of Famer Jackie Slater. And just news of note, because sometimes in the media they forget, Jackie Slater was a right tackle, not a left tackle. Just throwing it out there. Olsen started parts of 2 seasons for the Rams, had 5 sacks, but he lost his job to Larry Brooks. He just wasn't Larry Brooks. And he was a backup with the Broncos and retired after the 76 season and didn't go on that Super Bowl run with the Orange Crush in 77. May 6, 1976, Rams signed free agent defensive end Leroy Jones, who, because of the depth on that team, they had to let him go, and he ended up being a starter for years down in the Chargers. Minnie Mac Haran, who is at the end of his career, and former Charger linebacker Mel Rogers. On this day in 1994, Rams signed former Washington University quarterback Chris Chandler, who had been bouncing around the NFL everywhere. Eventually, in 98, he leads the Falcons to the Super Bowl. So good for him. He ends up coming back to the Rams about 10 years later. 2016, Rams signed a bunch of undrafted free agents. Among them, Nelson Spruce. We know who Nelson Spruce became. He had one game, and we call the guy that has a great preseason, he gets the Nelson Spruce Award. They signed Morgan Fox as an undrafted free agent. Morgan Fox was a contributor, kind of bounced back and forth, practice squad, got waived, got brought back, and now he's made his mark in the NFL. Good for Morgan Fox. And a guy that ended up in the Pro Bowl in 2018, Corey Littleton. Remember Corey Littleton? The guy was blocking everything for Bones Fossil. And he made a Pro Bowl in 2018, but after 2019, Rams let him walk, and he went to the Raiders and was never the same again. But the Rams got a lot of mileage out of that UDFA right there, and with Morgan Fox as well. Let's see. Okay, Greg Gaines, former Ram, turns 29 today, and former Ram defensive end out of Nebraska, Adam Carricker, turns 41 today. There we go. Got that in. I think we got it all in, and we hit 50 minutes. All right. Let's see. Steve Ramirez. Is this the same Gil Gonzalez who had a car that Kurt sat on when the Pharaohs showed up? Oh, you're killing me. American Graffiti reference there. American Graffiti. Nice work. Nice work. I always felt Kurt let the Pharaohs down, man. Maybe when he got up to Canada, you should have invited him up there, Yeah, I kind of like Bo Hopkins. There you go. Okay, guys, went to the doctor on Monday. They're not going to do robotic surgery. I'm going to go a more traditional route. And it's classic case of, so there's nothing spectacular there. Good news is I can't do any more real damage to it. So I'll be back on a little more of a regular schedule. I just won't be carrying anybody's barbells up to the attic and stuff. But the surgery looks like it's going to be May 21st, May 23rd. My daughter is graduating from Long Beach State with her second master's. My daughter went to UCLA, got a master's from LMU, and now getting a second master's from Long Beach State. So she's made the gamut here, and I'm looking forward to her taking care of me in my old age, which should be here in a week, if I'm any judge of character there. Let's see here. So it's going to be after her graduation, and then I'm supposed to be taking it easy for a week. It's outpatient surgery. So the day that it's on, I definitely won't be broadcasting, and then we'll see about the next day, and I'll let you guys know what's going on. All right, cool. I think we got it in. You guys are awesome. I do appreciate you guys all reaching out to me. If you have anything you want me to talk about, let's get jtbank1964 at yahoo.com. I know the draft season is over. But there's always stuff to talk about. And if there's a subject or a question you have, let me know, and we'll handy dandy it. And we'll figure it out. USA Expat. Remember, the secret to life is to not get old. Okay, I'm going to finish this right here. When the Mid-Valley Sports guys click on, sometimes Dwayne Barker clicks on, he knows I'm the friend that will not help you move. I won't do it. I got burned too many times when I was a youth pastor, where someone would say, "Hey, Joe, get a crew together. We got to go help so-and-so move." And then you get to so-and-so's house and they've packed nothing, right? It's a Saturday morning at 8. Maybe USC's playing at noon and you're thinking I can get out of there. No, you're there till 5, because when you get there, the guy's not packed. And then the team you put together, like 8 guys to get it done real fast because everything's not packed, they all suddenly have something to do and they're out by 10:30, right? And so usually it was me, one other guy, and the guy we're moving the fridge downstairs and then back upstairs wherever he was going. And I can't tell you how many times I got shafted doing that. So basically, late 90s, I just put a thing on. I'm not helping anyone move anymore. I'm done. I'm out. I'll be your friend. You can call me in the middle of the night. Maybe I'll lend you some dough if I've got something. Take it out of my daughter's piggy bank. I'll give you a ride somewhere. But my friends know. They don't call me to help them move. They don't. So I won't do it anymore, right? Even if I got a truck, I will not help you move. You know why? Because I don't want to end up with a hernia. ferocious travesty of fate here, right? I have been laid out. So God got even with me. Okay, you don't want to help your friends because you don't want a hernia? I'll give you a hernia. Okay, yes, expat. No more hide-a-bed couches up a flight of stairs for me. That's the part that got me mad. And the part I struggled with is that I didn't do anything to get this, and I got it. So, lesson learned. Be nice. Be kind to your friends. Guys, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit share. Sorry for the last 2 minutes of narcissism. We'll just talk Rams. Tomorrow, we're going to come back tomorrow and do it all over again. God bless, guys. See you.